G'day, beautiful people. Hello, welcome to Canada Day. So happy Canada Day. Let's start off with that. Today is the day when we celebrate Canada, just in all of its forms, from maple syrup to mousses and just other general stereotypes. This is obviously when we praise Canada for their many great contributions to society, mostly involving sugar. A big one for me is Canada's contribution to beer. It's just massive. Honestly, Australians, we make great beer in Australia. And I'm not passing comment on all the quality of the beer here because I've had some wonderful beers and I've had some shocking beers. But the thing that they do really well is have a lot of fucking breweries. Like from me, where I live, to my place of work, I pass 3 breweries. And then if I want, I can walk like 5 minutes to other. It's amazing. Like honestly, you're pretty spoiled for choice. So Canada, you're great at a lot of things, but you are just, your volume of beer producers is just freaking gigantic. It's magnificent. Gnomesbane, Foster's, fuck you. Foster's is a trader beer and it is not a good beer. But hello everyone. It's wonderful to have you here. I see you all in the chat. Good to see you, you beautiful humans. Hello, g'day Dad Hammer, Elf Bro, Hayden in the chat there, Tim King Tristan. We get you for that brief little moment before you shuffle off to bed. That's always a good one. Lovely to see you. Dimensional Cascade, man, I'll be talking about you in a minute, so good to see you as well. Gnomesbane, subscribe for 3 whole months. We are a third the way to our first hobby, baby. Can't wait. Don't know what we're going to call it, but it'll be special. Captain Andrew, we're talking about what we're doing in the chat, which is good. Some Metal Wild Riders. Jesus. Okay, that one's got to be interesting. And then just a lot of... Okay, Squigs. Nice, Squigs. Nurgle Demons. All right. We don't know which way that's going to go. It could be interesting. Canadian Whiskey. Yes, Captain Andrew, 100%. Greeksy, mate, the head of the postman himself. Cheers to you, beautiful man. Have a wonderful lunch break for as much as I can do for you. Canadian breakfast is pretty damn good. But yeah, Combat Phase Podcast. G'day, mate. Daka Flacka Flame. You have to track down some crown. Yes, not a bad way to do it. It was wonderful to see you all. As always, thank you so much to everyone who is a subscriber or a Patreon member or a Twitch Prime or a donator or however you support the Honest Wargamer, even if you can't afford to throw any money the way of the thing, but you just like to show up and be present, or you listen to it as a podcast or whatever. You're a fucking legend. Like having you here. And obviously we do swear a bit, so you might want to do that. I am riding solo today. It is Canada Day, so today will be a slightly shorter show than usual because it's Canada Day and I am real sober for where I should be right now. Now, I do have a whole bottle of wine to get me there, so I will be doing that. So don't worry, we're going to be getting there as a team. As a team, we'll do it all together. But it's wonderful to see you all here and in this post GHB 2019 world. Cheers, Barley Grana Wheat Mini Bong. So I guess we've got a couple of things we want to talk about today. I'm going to hold off everyone's favorite segment, so I'm so sorry for those who were waiting on it. I'm going to hold off on send nudes until next week, and we will do a bigger nuder send nudes next week. For those who are listening and are hearing this for the first time, send nudes stands for NUDES, nice unique drawings everyone scribbled that people send in, and then we review blind, basically. Usually there's a substantial amount of hidden genitalia in them, but I'm not going to judge people based on what they like, because you can do whatever you like. And you know that's good, that's fine. But I am very, very sorry to those in the chats. There will be no nudes today. No nudes today. I'll save them up for next week. I'll do a big old nude segment, and it'll be great. So yes, not for today, but we got a little bit to talk about anyway. But because it's Canada Day, and to celebrate Canada Day, the dumb shit questions that I usually save for the end of the show, we're going to have a few of during. So let me throw this to you, the chat. Our very first dumb question, or our dumb thing to begin with. And if you are watching live at the moment on YouTube. I see a few of you over there. Great to have you. G'day, you beautiful people. Or on Facebook. I am so sorry. I'm not going to be able to see responses unless you jump on the Twitch stream, because that's where I can see my chat right now. But our first one is describe your army using only a movie title. So, like, if your army was a movie that exists in the real world right now, like, you don't just get to make up some fucking weird movie. Like, you describe your army by movie title only, because I'd like to see it. Let's see how we go. Combat Face Podcast is doing terrain, realm terrain. That's shit hot. Yes, I love it. Maple syrup. Oh yeah, maple syrup's pretty damn good. Basing dry. Okay, lots of dry brushing. Yep, a fair bit of dry brushing going on. That's okay. That's not bad. Your Dad Hammer's trying to get an army together in a couple of weeks. All right. Captain Andrew pointing out very cleverly with our wonderful GHB changes to a lot of the different things. Duality of Death has changed a bit. I've got to admit, I kind of like it. I don't have a huge problem with the way that that's happened, because honestly, I dig a lot of the mission changes. And for me, the reason I like the way that they've changed some of them, they're not all perfect, but they suddenly have become a lot better for me. Like, they're more interesting. And as much as I was maybe a little let down with some of the allegiance abilities that were supposed to be expanded and blah blah, like Free People's, Dispossessed, I could go on for a while. But as much as I was disappointed to see that, the thing that I'm most excited about every General's Handbook isn't the points, it's the missions. Because for me, that is the thing more than anything that shapes the competitive scene moving forward. So the changes to the missions, I fucking love. But yes, it definitely changes things up a little bit. However, not being as intense, it's kind of cool. Okay, Elf Bro, 2 girls, 1 cup. Yep. I'm guessing that's Daughters of Cain. Because you got the bloody cup and the. You know what? I don't want to talk about that. I saw that. That's rough. That's just rough. No one Google that. If you haven't seen it, never Google that. That's just a bad time for everyone. Demcast, The Adventures of Frabert Stinky Toes. Okay, good. Grixie, of course, the Postman. Just classic Costner there, right? Like, the Postman was like the land-based version of Waterworld. And yeah, not bad. Rome's Dimensional Cascade. Oh, we got a double Dimensional Cascade in the chat at the moment, which is always a wonderful thing to see. I remember playing old Warhammer Fantasy, and if you ever did a double Dimensional Cascade, you just fucking pretty much gave up because your army was cactus. Little Shop of Horrors. Okay, yeah. What army would Little Shop of Horrors be? Like, Sylvaneth? Is that Sylvaneth? Because that's fucking great if that's Sylvaneth. I love it. Yeah, Captain Andrew, liking the mission changes, just to freshen it up, exactly. The Terror of Chinatown or Mini-Me's Revenge. Oh, yes. Those tiny little grots is the way. But yeah, I'm about it. We've got a Dimensional Cascade little fight off there, which is always a good way to do it. Oh, Change Host, Change Host as well. Yeah, that's finally kind of made its way back into the thing, but it's much more interesting now. When the last time, so everyone cast your memories back to the last time we saw Change Host regularly, right? What were we seeing Change Host for? It was for one thing and one thing alone. I'll let the chat answer this one, because I'm pretty sure that there's enough of you there that know exactly what I'm talking about. What was it? Anyone who took a Change Host was basically doing one fucking thing, and it was real dirty. It was pretty average. Like as far as a move goes, one of those things where people will be like, yeah, but you're a bit shit for doing it. And it had to do with a Lord of Change, and usually a Lord of Change and his mate, the Changeling, and turn one they'd do something real dirty, which was never fun for anyone involved except for the Zinch player. But yeah, I can guarantee you. So Rome's Dimensional Cascade, playing Malifaux back then. God, I love Malifaux. Great game, really intense. But I think the thing with Malifaux that is a little bit hard if you're planning on getting into it is it's very stop-start. Like, you don't feel the flow of the game until you know it really well. Like, if you've got two players that know the game well, the flow's great, it's beautiful, it's fast, and it's a wonderful game. But for when you're starting, it's very like... and yes, Captain Andrew, nail on the head. Same with Elf Bro, bin chicken. So Rome's, you're definitely not doing it. What it was you used to be able to... This is back when the Balewind was much more fucking powerful as well. You used to be able to swat, like summon deploy... Let's rewind a little bit. You could deploy the Changeling in your opponent's army. Turn 1, the Changeling summons a Balewind, and then using the Change Host, you swapped the Changeling with the Lord of Change, who is now on top of a Balewind where he can't be charged, because the Balewind had weird fucking rules back then, and can cast all these spells from on top of that gigantic tornado of death. It was fucking insane. Also, like, monsters couldn't summon the Balewind, but there was nothing saying they couldn't end up on top of it. It was crazy. You basically had an unkillable bin chicken. Unless your opponent had a gunline army, you were pretty much just ruining their days. The bin chicken, the Lord of Change. It wasn't a cool move. And to my shame, I taught someone that move who would not have thought to do it otherwise. However, he only wanted to do it to break people. But then he kept losing his games because he didn't actually play for the objectives. He just liked the shock on their face when it happened to them. But then after that, he wasn't actually trying to win. He was like, no, I broke them emotionally and that's all I needed, which is fine. It was around the same time when Clown Car KO came out, which was the drop ship full of shooty guys. But realistically now it's a bit better. And I think, like, Rome's, it's exactly the thing that I quite like about the Change Host. I think it's great, like stuff popping and transferring and moving around and stuff. That's the fun. It's like that annoying Zinchian thing of what you want not being there and not expecting it. It's great. It's the way that they should play. I think the problem was that people were using it to basically abuse the rules and find a loophole where they could put a big unkillable fucking monster on top of a spell wind that no one could hurt because no one could move within 3 inches of it. It was pretty shit for anyone who experienced it. So from one dimensional cascade to another, the other one I want to talk about is like the OG dimensional cascade, who is just like a beautiful human except for his display board. I will never be okay with his destroyed Dwarven Hold display board. OG, definitely OG. He does game mats that are just fucking awesome. Like, no word of a lie, they're just really, really good. They're just like a regular mat, but then like the soft kind of grayscale, like semi-transparent lines through it for all of your deployment zones, objectives, stuff like that. I know you were making them back at the previous GHB. I played on them at the stream for Wet Coast GT. It was fucking awesome. And I know that you've just updated them for the current edition with the new GHB release. And anyway, look, I think they're awesome. There's no like a paid partnership or anything in here. It is literally just because they, I think, are one of the best gaming tools out there. It's a bit like scenery dice. When someone was like, why don't we just put the names of the scenery on dice so you can just roll that dice and not have to then look up a chart and put a token down and stuff like that. It's a bit like that. It's a piece of tech that makes it heaps better. And I only wish I thought of it first. That's my honest to God thing. I wish I'd invented it because I think you got the money. But anyway, I think they're awesome. Check him out on... 100%. It is very hard. One of my mates here has one and we play our games on it, and it is very hard then to go back because it's like you don't have to measure deployment zones. You don't have to put the little dice thing out. It's just there. It's just there. Everything you need. Your objectives, you just put a little marker and you never need to measure how far from an objective you are. They're great. I like them. I dig them. And I'm about it. But yes, thank you. A Dimensional Cascade popping it in there with a little Etsy store. They're fucking awesome. Give them a look if you're interested. If you look in the market for a mat, I cannot recommend any other. I cannot recommend them highly enough. They're fucking awesome. But Tomb King Tristan, thank you for bringing up the next point that I wanted to talk about. We currently have a GoFundMe up for Jet the dog. So popular that he actually has a Twitch little thingy picture thing. You know what they're called in Twitch at the moment. And poor little Jet, he's got the cancer, which is rough, and he's a beautiful dog. So I think we actually did make it. I think we got there to get him the help he needs, because he obviously needs surgery and a lot of stuff like that, so that he can keep sticking his butt in the cameras. And can I say, as someone who has met Jet in person, he's a special dog. He's a special dog. And can I just say that for me, he seems constantly baffled. And I like that about him, because I feel spiritually connected to that. Like you see him and he'll, like, I remember we were recording and he walked into one of the cameras and it damn near fell over. And then he just kind of stopped and we lost our shit, because he was looking at the camera thing, then looking at us. And it wasn't like the dog thing of like, oh, I just almost broke something, or like the guilty thing you see dogs do. It was like, he was like, what the fuck is this? Where did this come from? And so, bless his cotton socks, he is constantly just baffled. And that's I think it's one of the most beautiful things an animal can ever be, confused. So thank you to everyone who helped get Jet the help that he needs. But yeah. It's good. Mr. Mephisto, good to see you, mate. How you doing, beautiful man? Sorry, need to drink. And when I don't have another co-host on me, you guys just get to listen to a momentary silence while I pour wine in my face. Dad Hammer, get some for the battle reports. Yeah, mate. I think the thing that I really like about it is it's very, so straightforward. You can just put it down and start like that. You just go, oh, that's that one, great, we're all sorted. And it also takes away a lot of, I think tournaments should look at using them as well. It was great having it on the stream table too, because it means that you don't need to worry about ranges and distance. You know if something can score, no one's going to accidentally bump a token and move an objective. It's good. But yeah, anyway, it's pretty good. Okay, so there's it's Tomb King Tristan just coming in hot and fast. Yep, good times. So we do encourage our moderators to abuse their power. That is something they have earned the power, and so they do get to abuse it. Go right ahead, and don't mess with them, because they have more power than anyone else in the chat. So don't mess with the moderators. They will attack you. I think my personal Twitch account has been silenced a couple of times, which just goes to show that no one is about our Twitch moderators. So don't get any ideas. But yeah, Elf Bro, yeah, mate. I think they're lovely. They're real good, and they're just fucking great. I can't believe that I've met the man who thought them up. It's good. It's great. Anyway, next. So we're moving right along. The thing that I would like to get some opinions on, and whether you want to throw, say, opinions in the chat, whether you want to think about it and do it on Twitter or whatever the fuck you want to do, I'd like to talk about what the General's Handbook now means, which it worries me a little bit. I really like it, a lot of it, but my worry is that we're starting to build more and more requirements to play Age of Sigmar competitively and narratively, I guess, as well, but mostly that competitive scene. Because if people want to come in and get involved in tournaments and stuff, they now require a lot more knowledge and understanding and learning before they can actually do it. Where if you go back 18 months, things were very, very different. So I guess I love the inclusion of endless spells. I love the inclusion of so many different elements. But now with the amount of shenanigans that are in the game, and it makes sense, right? Like every time you release a GHB, every time you release a new army, every time you release a new core book, you want to build and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. We saw that in both Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Fantasy. And the problem is they got I remember every new rulebook for Warhammer Fantasy, the universal special rules section just got bigger and bigger and bigger. There was like 100 and something pages just of universal special rules. And suddenly to be able to play the game, you needed to know so fucking much. And so I guess my question to you in the chat is like, from 1 to 10, 1 being real hard, 10 being super easy. So 10's easy, 1 is hard. How hard do you reckon it is for someone to pick up or if you've recently picked up Age of Sigmar in the last like 6 months or something, how hard do you think it is to pick up the game and go from zero knowledge of the gameplay or very limited knowledge of the gameplay to being able to play a competitive game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar? Because I kind of like to know, see what people think. I have an opinion, but I'd like to hear yours before I give mine. But maybe I've made mine kind of obvious just by being a fucking potato. Anyway, so am I in my evening attire now? Or a denim robe and a thong is always a good look. Captain Andrew, thank you for keeping the ! Legion. It is still the highest used command on our Nightbot, which is just great. Thinking, okay, yep, fair. You know what you do? You got me over a barrel there, Gnome's Bane. Thinking is definitely overrated. Lightning rounds are always the way to go. Captain Andrew pointing out you need like 5 books to play Chaos in 40k. Yes. Demcast, lots of add-on rules. Yeah, if you play Flesh Eater Courts, it's pretty straightforward. Just kill your opponent turn 1 and that's it. Poor retention. I think for me it is very much a game that is real easy to pick up and play and learn the basics of. But the broader the game gets, like Malign Sorcery, Forbidden Power, needing General's Handbooks, and then just the amount of rules now for me that break the rules of the game is enough that I find it worrying. If that makes sense, you know, like you've got your order of activations in combat, and now there are so many rules that change that. It's not like a +1 to hit or whatever to hit. It's just so many things. The idea of abilities that triggered on a 6 used to be like they were rare, they were interesting, they're really cool. Now, like every second fucking unit does something on a 6. I just think that there's a where it's starting to get big. It's not too big yet. It is not too big yet. But I worry for the next couple of years. I hope they don't do the same thing that happened to Warhammer Fantasy, which is just building that fear, that need to be bigger and bigger and bigger every time, and getting to the point where it is maybe a little bit unwieldy. It's a bit too big. Barium Visit, limited if you start with friends. Yeah, look, if you've got people to help you out in it, it makes a huge difference. About an 8, about an 8 to get it to be up like in that tippity top. Demcast made mats to make shit easier. Yeah, I get that. New to group 3, new to vac. Yeah, right. So 3 to 7, 3 and then 7 there. That's pretty good. I'd say about the same. I agree. From pick up and play to competitive is a big step, definitely. And that's not to say that it's not like that for everything. But it used to be relatively easy to be across most of the game and understand it. Now it really isn't, which I think is where it's trickier. But yeah, you do need a community. You need a lot of things like that to make it easier on yourself. Yeah. Retsef, I'm probably butchering your name. I'm so sorry. First game of AOS this weekend. Welcome. Congratulations. Welcome, chat. Welcome, a new brother or sister or goat. I don't know what you are. Actually, no, you're probably not a goat. I think it'd be really hard for you to be typing with hooves. Correct me if I'm wrong, Retsef. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're an old school 40k player, right? Okay, so then you've kind of jumped ship, which is cool. What are you playing? And yes, you're 100%. When you start Age of Sigmar, you miss a ton of rules. I still forget rules for some of my units, but that's how you remember them. You remember them by like looking at it and thinking it. But yeah. Mr. Mephisto, correct. There's a lot of community people doing things that then support, that would preferably be coming from everyone. But yeah, Demcasting is less complex here. It is the entire game is easier to understand than any singular phase or combination of rules from Warhammer 8th edition. Is that what you're talking? I assume that's what you're talking about. The old school 8th edition making way and heroes doing all that shit. It was a nightmare. I think the thing is you need the community of Age of Sigmar players have created all of these things to make it easier to play the game. But it's a shame, right? Like if you're just a random person who's walked into a store and think it looks cool and bought some, if you're not part of the community, it is real. And then you start playing games. The knowledge jump is massive. So it is kind of tricky. The 4-page rule book all the way. Yep, fair. We're definitely not in a bad place. I'm not saying we're in a bad place. It's whether it might start to go bigger. But yeah. Sorry, just quickly catching up, see how well Warcry functions. Yeah, I'm interested to see Warcry. I love the bird people because I'm going to paint them all up like Bird Person from Rick and Morty because I'm a dumbass and I think that's it. Nemesis, suggesting they reckon people are going to stop using all of the rules and going to kind of like, which I'm excited for, right? I'm excited for different tournaments doing different things because at the moment for the most part we seem to have a similar scenario pack just about everywhere. It's like the realms usually are used, but the TO is going to pick the effect. The realm spells are in effect, or the rules for it, like the command abilities and the spell from the core book are in effect. Like we're seeing very similar stuff. I'm excited now to see things different and changed up. I'm really excited for that. Also, Nemesis says, aren't you on like a fucking mountain or something? I feel like you're in Whistler, surrounded by my fellow Australians, because that's where all Australians live, apparently. It's like Little Australia. But yeah, got the name right. Demcast, yeah, they're good old Pride of Hundo there, that's good. And Jet too. Starting Silver, yeah, right. Just starting Silver with a book. Well, your book exists. Your book does exist. The thing is, your book is currently, I believe, like in a shipping container somewhere, I reckon, being held by customs over Brexit or some shit. How do you find the community to make it easier? And I think that's the one that I think about is like, I used to work at a Games Workshop store and we had a lot of people who'd come in and we were very lucky. Like the Sydney Facebook group for Age of Sigmar is amazing. The Sydney scene for Age of Sigmar is awesome. If you're thinking about going to a tournament, we'll be talking about tournaments in a second. Sydney has some wonderful events, a wonderful scene, a really lovely supportive people, and very much they help a lot of people get started with it. And that's kind of what we had. So for someone who's kind of outside of that, it might be a lot harder to get involved. But yeah, it's definitely depends on the intro point. How the Painter just started last week, and yeah, look, it takes a long time. Fair enough. If you didn't like complexity, you'd play chess. 100%. I always say that as well. Like if you like fair, balanced stuff, play chess. Because there's dice rolls and shit goes wrong and everything like that. Can I ask, How the Painter, what are you playing? If you just started last week, what are you going for? But yes, there's a lot to pick up. Cool Bunny with Nemesis camping, and the Wi-Fi there is good enough that you can watch a Twitch stream. Jesus. In Australia, the Wi-Fi was barely strong enough to actually have a Twitch stream. And that was like connected to some of the fastest internet in the country. So yeah, it's it. Are we glamping? We might be glamping. China's maybe there's a lot of Sylvaneth players in China and they don't like the book, so they're holding off on releasing it. Maybe that's it. Sorry, just a little bit more wine for me there. No, waiting on the Nova player pack. Yep, see what the Grapevine GT is going to look like. I'm excited to see these player packs. China. It's the brutal WWE version of China, or WWF, whatever she was in. Don't get to paint my chess pieces and give them sweet names. Yeah, that's true. Although, I mean, you could paint your chess pieces. I would love to see that, like every single one. And when a pawn gets taken, you're like, no, Jeremy, he was retiring in 2 days. But yeah, Sylvaneth boycott the dead tree version of the book. That's, you know what, maybe that's it, because it was printed on paper. They should have printed it on metal or something. That wouldn't have upset them. Dad Hammer, you're right. The rule of cool is one of the worst things you can tell someone to do if you don't then provide other information. I always like to tell people, like, play the army you like the look of, because that way you'll love it. And like, when I play Dispossessed, if I'm getting beaten, which isn't that often, it is, I do get beaten quite a lot. If I'm playing Dispossessed and I'm losing, I'm having a good time because I love the army. If I'm winning, I'm having a good time because I love the army. And I loved painting all the different units, all the different models. Even, I've got so many that I don't use anymore because the rules changed and I stopped using them. But I loved painting them. I still adore those models. And I think it's very easy for someone to say, oh, just get what you like the look of. But that needs to be coupled with like gameplay information if you want to play the game. If you're just painting, buy what you reckon looks rad, because that's what you want to be doing. But yeah. Snobby Chess Bros would flip out if you brought your custom board pieces and page of backstory. Do it. Or someone, pawn takes rook. No, or if someone's like, pawn takes rook, you're like, yes, the mighty Steve storms the castle by himself. And the other bloke's like standing there looking at the chess clock being like, dude, you're wasting so much time just with like live play stuff. My king has a ring of haste, so it moves 2 squares instead of 1. Yes, that'd be awesome. Concept armies, the less said about the better, I guess. And yeah, Elf Bro Hayden putting in a good point. As a new player, you probably drop a bunch of games anyway. So play the army you love so that at least while you're learning it, you're not like hating it. I guess the thing for me with armies is you have to ask yourself why you're doing it. If you're playing Age of Sigmar, if you're playing any competitive game to win, you've set yourself a really hard little bullseye, right? Like, you are only having fun if you're winning, which even if you're really good, you're still going to lose games. Whereas if you set out to play an army you really love, have a really good time, you've actually set the bullseye real big. It's really easy to hit that target if you're like, I just want to play War Dollies. I love Dispossessed. I love Dwarves. I'm just going to yell about beards all day. It makes your life heaps easier because you've set your like way to have a good time. Make it just easier for yourself, right? It just makes life easier. But yeah, Battle Chess. Don't know what that was. Going to Google that later. Sounds amazing. There's only one true army, Gloomspite. Well, maybe. I mean, they're real good with an axe in the neck, though. I'm a big fan of seeing Gloomspite die, but that's all right. Khan is setting a narrative army idea is a great way to get invested in your dude. Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm halfway through converting up like an Iron World force, and I love it. I love it every step of it because there's so much work going into each model that I'm like, this is great. Battle Chess was animated chess, right? Warhammer is literally just fancy gambling. Yes. Dying like they all really do. Dispossessed don't die. They just get angrier and beardier, which is it. All right, so cool. That's that. We'll move on from that. I think that's a much bigger question, and it's not really something that we can fix right now. It's more just I'm interested to see where we go from here. But the next dumb question. We're time for another ridiculous dumb question for the chat. So if you are in the chat, your next question is this: which creature would you back, or which unit from all of Age of Sigmar would you back in a jelly wrestling tournament, but the jelly is maple syrup. So in a Canada themed one, if so they don't get to use any weapons. They basically have to jelly wrestle an opponent in a big old vat of maple syrup. Which unit from all of Age of Sigmar, all of the Mortal Realms would you back? Can't be Compendium. No, we're going to go no Compendium here. So I'm so sorry, Britannia players. You're going to have to choose something from Flesh Eater Courts. But what would you back? What do you reckon's got it? The Glotkin. Oh god. The Glotkin would be a horrifying tag team match. In fact, I imagine the other two brothers have nothing to do it. It's just the big one. Charybdis. Oh, Charybdis. Yeah, Monster Marathi. Yes, jelly snakes. Jelly snakes. Pink Horror. Oh yeah, actually, Red Surf got the point. Pink Horror's got lots of arms. More arms is good. Though Marathi does have hair made of snakes, which is big and scary, I guess. Elfbro, Keeper of Secrets, probably terrifying because it just like looks at you and then you freeze and you're like, I'm about to be like dominated in every sense of the word, aren't I? And then just bad shit happens to you. Yep, we didn't need the eggplant emoji to know what Keeper of Secrets would do, but thank you, Hayden. Thank you, Elfbro, for giving us that one. Or a Hell Pit Abomination. Yeah, I can see that being rough because even if you beat it, it then bursts into rats, which then, yeah, bad. Combat Phase Podcast, the Sloppity Bilepiper. Yes, it's in the name, right? Sloppity. It knows how to deal with muck. Dad Hammer, yeah, always loving the Scourge Privateers, but mostly for cheating. Good, yep, guidelines. Unnecessary. I saw the Octar before, whoever was said Octar, and I do agree. Octar goes over. Lotan and the Octar. I doubt Lotan actually is a part of it. Lotan just probably sits at the side and then just watches this octopus not have bones and then go crazy. Manglers would be terrifying because though they'd be so slippery, I imagine there's nothing good happens to anybody. Nurglings would be straight up disturbing. I think only because they'd probably do that really annoying thing, like the like whack-a-mole games where they'd probably just keep popping up covered in maple syrup without the ability to get a hand on them. A colossal squig I would love to see sliding around in maple syrup, or a squig gobber just spitting out huge torrents of maple syrup would be divine. It'd be next level. It'd be beautiful. Cool Bunny Demonettes, I guess they do have the weapons are attached to their arms, so they can't have them taken away. So that would be, yeah. I mean, look, I can think of worse ways to go than fighting 30 Demonettes in a jelly wrestling pit filled with maple syrup. October, he loves to watch. Lotan loves to watch. Doesn't do it, just watches. Unit closest to bacon, I'm assuming Gore Grunters probably. Gore Grunters, Battle Pigs, best bacon around, I reckon. But yeah, obviously we're dealing with the important questions today. Being Canada Day, I didn't want to miss it, so we make sure that we deal with those really important ones. Now, speaking of events, I said we'd speak about events. There is a wonderful event in Australia. And those who are watching from Australia right now, whether you're on your lunch break or whether you're meant to be at work or whatever the hell you're doing, there is a wonderful event coming up later this year, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, which is Australia's largest teams tournament, looking like one of the largest teams events in the world. So teams of 4, and it's the Runax Wargaming Teams Championship. And this year, tickets went on sale this weekend just gone, and they sold out in 45 minutes. So 80 tickets sold in 45 minutes, gone like that. And I've been, Elf Bros ready, Red Seth, yep, sold out, all gone. Now I do know that there is a potential, I think, for more. But I would probably hassle Gabe. Beg, borrow, steal, offer portions of your soul, name your firstborn after him, because he may be able to do something. I would love to see it. and you're the fifth man on a team. Okay, so Retsef, does that mean that you're the support if someone like drops out, or are you gonna be there with like, please go, even if you're not playing, and have yourself like a little like jacket full of like Gatorade and things, and so if someone's in a really intense game, you can rock up and like pour them a little Gatorade and like mop their brow and be like, you've got this, I completely believe in you, and then back off. You know, like, can you be like the water boy for the team? That'd be fucking rad. But yeah, it's a last year, an awesome event. I know I saw a lot of disappointed people who missed out on tickets because of how much fun it was last year and the way that people spoke about it. Gabe is a legend. He runs a great ship, a great event. But yeah, it's a real good one. So I would say for those who are interested in going and maybe missed out, hit him up, because if the potential for more space does open up, I know he'd be interested in it. I know that he's not just content when there's other people, but it's one of the few times where the demand was so much higher than the supply. It was just absolutely crazy. And you never know, because we're going to look into it. You never know, but there might be a little cheeky stream potentially. I can't talk about it at the moment. Can't need to confirm details. Have to crunch numbers and run the graphs. LLV, chief financier and man who knows numbers, is going to look at the numbers and see if we can make the numbers work. But it would be fucking rad to be able to stream that event and bring a couple of the tables every round, because it would just be cool to follow like whole teams as opposed to players. Now, for those who are interested, I know the event has an interesting way of comping the teams. Between players there can be no duplicate war scrolls, which is like straight up is interesting, right? It means that you can have 2 Zinch players on your team, but only one of them can use Skyfires, or only if you've got a Beast of Chaos player and a Zinch player, only one of them can have Enlightened. It's really, really cool. Sorry, I will be right back in 10 seconds. Let me just make sure that we're looking like we might be about to run out of battery on the mic, because there's a thing that's flashing. I'm going to go silent for about 30 seconds while I fix this, and we can just, I don't know, listen to Benny Hill music and make sweet, sweet love sounds with our ears while I quickly replace the battery, because there's a red blinking light, and I know that when the battery goes, it sounds real bad. So everybody, treat yourself to jump on Spotify and look up some. I don't know, let's go with the Evanescence. Evanescence, I think, is due with a little listen. So let's just all listen to Evanescence for 30 seconds, and we'll be right back with some sound that isn't just trash. So we'll go silent for a second. I'm very sorry about that. All right, and we're back. Looking good, sounding good. All right, what did I miss? Give it a glass of... Okay, yep. Glass of wine. Pour wine on it. Elf Bro, including endless spells as well, which is really cool. Yeah, Retsef Scrolls is the band thing. Give it a glass of wine. Pour a glass of wine into it. That's a good idea. It's interesting. It's good. I'd rather just put batteries in it. Combat Phase podcast had a good chat with LLV. Yeah, that man is a genius. He's a cyborg sent back in time to just be rad at everything. Tomb King Tristan, going to bed. Good night, you beautiful man. Sleep well. You gorgeous pharaoh of duty. Sure, that's the one. Your Mr. Mephisto went with Imaginary from the first album. Yep. Later had just everybody knocking out. Listen to some Nightwish. Currently buying up models to convert for Warcry. Okay, right. So like kind of combining based off the sound. I dig that. Like narrative based off of music. That's rad. Sorry, Mr. Mephisto. I had to break the jam by putting batteries back a fresh set of batteries in it. Running two. Okay, so Elfbro, there's one team is looking at running two Daughters of Team lists in the same team, which would be awesome because only one of them can have a hag and only one of them can have witches or a Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood. That's great. I'd be interested to see it. I would then be interested to know which player did better. I think that would be a really cool kind of, I don't know, test to see. Lugnuts. Killing Dwarden with arrows. That's not the right way to do it. You are supposed to be killed by Dwarden with missile weapons, not do it the other way around. You're confused. You don't understand how it works. That's fine. Not everyone can understand the basic way that games against dispossessed work. You lose, but you definitely don't shoot them. That's the real important part there, which I guess is a toughie. That's okay. We're fine. The Runax Team Championship in Australia, it's 80 players at the moment, sold out, 20 teams of 4. Hopefully going to be some more, which would be fucking rad. But if you are not local to Australia and thinking about doing it, 100% reach out to Gabe, who from the Runax Wargaming. Hit him up because I know that he's a wonderful bloke. He's very supportive, and the Brisbane community is spec fucking tacular. So they will 100% help out with finding a place, doing all of that, getting to the events, and just giving you advice and shit like that. So I reckon if you are looking to go to Australia for an event, this is one of the big ones that's worth checking out. It's also in a major city, like a bit like the Sydney GT or Sydney Slaughter, so you don't have to travel for them. You can just land in the city and you're there. It's not like others where you say have to land in a city and then fly further or do whatnot. Not that those aren't great events, not that people shouldn't look at them, but if you're trying to make it nice and easy for yourself, it's a good one to look at. Also, Brisbane's a beautiful city. You can check out the rest of the city afterwards or before. Do what you want. I'm not your dad. You're going to take the Combat Phase podcast off to bed. Go and have a wonderful little dream there. Go and dream of dispossessed beards gently stroking your face, because that's the way to do it. Flora first, but then she won me over. Yeah, look, it took a little bit of work. Took a little bit of work to win us over. But, you know, that's okay. Flora Jansen it's special. It's special. It's nice. All right. It's also, yes, it's in Logan, which is, it rhymes with Bogan for a very good reason in Brisbane. Bogans, Google it if you really need to know. Check out Urban Dictionary, it'll have your back. Bogan. Very, very important, very classy Australian term. But it's real cool. Also, the kind of the time of year, towards the end of the year, it's a beautiful time to be in Australia. It's warm, but it's not our fuck you, you will die from the heat temperature level. The sun hasn't decided to try and kill us off at that point. It's real cool. So yeah, I'd give it a look. The Runax Wargaming, give it a check it out. Look at it if you're thinking about it. Now, as I did say at the start, this is going to be a slightly shorter than average episode. We're going to wrap it up relatively soon because it is Canada Day. It is Canada Day, and we've got a lot of stuff that just has to happen, which is mostly me getting drunk and looking at fireworks. But I didn't want to leave you, my beautiful hobby partners, out in the dark, which is why we're here today, because it's good. Red Surf, fucking difficult to get to without a car. It depends. Like, public transport is actually not too bad, but also there is a lot of people who will help out, like giving you a lift and stuff like that. That's what I've always found is really wonderful about it. Brisbane, the Brisbane and the Sydney communities, who are the communities I know the best, are really supportive of people who come out. So give it a look, give yourself a treat. And now for our last, we're going to finish up with one more dumb fucking question, because that is the way to do it. We don't want to do it decently. So this one is about mounts. So we're talking about mounts here. Which mount in all of Age of Sigmar do you think can drink the most Canadian Club whiskey without, like, before it passes out and still be functional? Let's say functional in game. Which one can get the most drunk? Has to be a mount. Has to be able to be ridden by someone. Which can get the most drunk and still fight a battle? Like this I think is where we really work out the hard questions. So Gnome's Bane, Glotkin again. Yeah, good. I see. I actually don't reckon Nurgle creatures have that big a tolerance for alcohol. Because if you think about it, alcohol in strong quantities is a sterilizing agent, which Nurgle would not be about. So I'm going to say I like the concept of Glotkin, yes. The reality, probably not. I don't think the science has their back. And as we know, Age of Sigmar is all about science. That's why we roll dice and do stats and shit like that. Mr. Mephisto, Stonehorn, yes. But see, I feel like the Stonehorn is the drunk version, right? Like, you know when you see someone who is just super drunk but refuses to go down? That's the Stonehorn. Just from sheer stubborn, dumbass fuckwittedness, it will not go down. Like when you see someone trying to fight a bouncer, and then the bouncer just basically like pushes them away, and they're like, nah, fuck you, and they go back, and the bouncer's like, stop it. That's the Stonehorn. Lugnuts, Magmadroth. I'd buy Magmadroth, yeah, because they're so hot, they probably like burn away the alcohol before it hits them. That'd do it. Dimensional Cascade, Manglers, 100% will get more deadly the drunker they get. Dadhammer, Ale Guzzler, good suggestion. Has to be a mount. Has to be able to be ridden. And I don't think I've seen anything. Retsif Marathi, she'd be a good mount. No, Cool Bunny, Maw Crusher. Yep, all right. I can see that because I feel like it is an angry drunk. And we've seen angry drunks who just fall over, and then angry drunks who somehow punch their way through like a window or something like that. That's the Maw Crusher. I'd do it. The Cauldron of Blood. See, that's a good point. I don't know if it can drink it though, but it is a delivery system. It's basically it's like a fondue pot of alcohol, which would be kind of cool. Plague Furnace, true, add it to the thing, but again, the furnace isn't drinking it. It's like a big smoky keg on the back. All those mouths. That's actually, Nosebane's got a point. He is covered in fucking mouths. So Glotkin could potentially do it. Retsef, Thankol's mouth, Bone Ripper. Okay, Bone Ripper, yes, but Bone Ripper has died so many times. I think he's up to like Bone Ripper 14 or something like that. He has been killed so very many times that it's not funny. What else? Okay, yeah, Cauldron of Blood is like, we're liking Cauldron of Blood. It's the bartender. So there's a thing here in Canada where it's like a bar built in a bike. So you have like 10 people or whatever sit there pedaling while they're facing the bar, and a bloke serves you beer on a bike while it rides around. Apparently it's amazing. So yeah. Dwarves drink all the time. Why not their mounts? Very funny. We don't have mounts because we don't need them. Our feet are good enough. Hag Queens of Barmaids. Interesting. Maw Crusher. Yep. Captain Andrew, you and Cool Bunny riding the same idea. Dracothian. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, it's like a Dracoth. Like, do you mean the cavalry, or do you mean like Dracothian, the dragon god thing that Sigmar was bros with? We're liking Cauldron Bartender. It's the keg stand. Yep. Oh, that big ass 1200 point corn dragon. Or Carnosaur, would it even get drunk? Let's go. I don't know if a Carnosaur would, because it's a memory. So unless the Slan knew about being drunk, I guess it wouldn't really... I don't know. Gnome's Bane, yep, actually good point. There is a Dwarf King that's being ridden like he's on the throne of power, being carried around. So technically the Dwarden are a mount. They would probably be pretty good and still be functional. Actually, Downhammer, Zombie Dragon. Zombie Dragon, even if the dead could get drunk, it doesn't have a stomach. It's like throat just opens to nothing. So if it were to drink the alcohol, there'd be nowhere for it to mix in. So I guess, actually, I think by like technical knockout, I'm going to have to agree, Dadhammer, you've got it with Zombie Dragon, because we're talking about the possibility of others maybe getting drunk, handling their drink, doing this. But this is someone who can consume it, goes into the mouth, through the throat, but then just had like fucking pours straight out of them. Now, it is Dimensional Cascade. You are right. It is a dirty, terrible, depressing waste of good alcohol. But we're not here to talk about the semantics of alcohol drinking. I could do that for hours. We are here to talk about the scientific fact that is the Zombie Dragon would be able to drink the most as amount without getting drunk and being impaired for the battle. And then also, I can only imagine that its breath gets worse. Because you know when someone's had a lot to drink and they like breathe just in your general direction and you feel like all the air's been sucked out of the room? The zombie dragon's got pretty bad breath at the best of times. So you suddenly give it beer breath, like that stale beer breath, and it's getting way worse. Would it be like the skeleton from The Last Unicorn? I haven't seen The Last Unicorn, but I assume that it has something to do with the skeleton drinking. I'm imagining it. Maybe it's like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, where Jeffrey Rush, Captain Barbossa, like drinks rum and it just pours through his mouth and then into his ribs and shit like that. I don't know if he could still get drunk because technically he's got some organs. Who knows? But yeah, it's okay. Gnome's Bane saying that it's cheating because it's not making it through the throat. It's a good argument, but if it's going open the lips, past the gums, look out, pouring through my ribcage. Here it comes. A steam tank, maybe, but steam tank's not a mount. It's not a mount. Oh no, technically it is. I guess the captain dude's riding it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it could be, but then I guess would it be fuel and no one's really drinking it? No, I think TKO goes to the zombie dragon. The zombie dragon cheats, but it does win. Seeker Slanesh is all about excess, yes, but then Slanesh also has those weird parties where they all do drugs, get drunk, and then lays about, and they're like, oh, isn't it so good being a part of Slanesh, and just rolling around on leather couches. I might be talking from personal experience a little bit here, but we don't need to go too deep into it. A booze-powered steam tank sounds very Russian. Gnome's Bane, I would say so, though I imagine it would be run by like beer and vodka. Is that racist? I feel like every Russian I've met has had a really good vodka knowledge, great taste in vodka, and also the ability to drink vodka like water, just to rehydrate. So yeah, maybe. Yes, comrade. But that does bring us to the end of our little short but sweet show today. Thank you so much to everybody who's dropped on board, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, however you're getting it. It's been lovely to have you here. It's okay. Mr. Mephisto like stereotyping that you got to drink whiskey. You're not offended. You can drink whiskey. That's like saying that Australians can't drink. Australians are alcoholic. We are. We're not offended. We drink a lot of alcohol. It's a part of our superpower. But thank you so much for joining us. However you get this, whether you watch it or listen to it on the podcast backwards, or whatever you do, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to have you here. I am so sorry that it is a shorter show than usual, but it is Canada Day, and I need to go and shot alcohol and maple syrup, maybe at the same time. We'll see you back next week. Next week, I am talking to Alex, who is a local Age of Sigmar player who played Iron Jaws previously and has taken them 2 tournaments and gone 4-1 with them. I believe he's even gone 4-1 minor. I don't know if he's in the chat. He'll correct me if I'm not. But he's very competitive. We were going to do it this week right now, but then realized it was Canada Day. But we are going to be talking Iron Jaws. We're going to be talking the pre-GHB, what did well. Oh, you are in the chat. There you are. You went 4-1 twice is what it was. Pre-GHB, what they were like then. We're going to then have a bit of a chat about where they are now post-GHB, what it's changed. So we're going to do that. That's going to be next week. We're going to have a sweet as chat. I always pronounce Vanilla. He's Vanilla Jazz in the chat. I can never pronounce his name right because I'm a puppet. But we're going to talk Iron Jaws next week. We're going to have a little chat about Fire Slayers too, because we've played some real good games with the Fire Slayers. I won't give the thing away, but it is a real like doubling down on the Droth kind of thing, and it was a really interesting game. So we'll be talking about all that. That's going to be next week. But for right now, it is time for me to put copious amounts of alcohol in my body and then probably watch fireworks and be like, oh, that's right. That's what those look like. Yep. Good. Okay. Well, good. But it is time to have a little bit of a drink for me. Thank you so much for joining us, you gorgeous, gorgeous human beings, and I will see you again next week. Cheers. Happy Canada Day.